All right, welcome back, everyone. And if you're a Dobros fan, well, I got good news for you. 13-10 victory over QOR to be taking the first map and QOR's map pick off of them. Shift beforehand, we were talking about this series, the map picks, kind of looking at this and kind of favoring QOR a little bit, but Dobros really stepping up in that last map.
Yeah, they played clean Valorant from start to finish, even on both sides. Obviously, the offense, I think at one point they were 8 of 9 rounds, won in a row. What they were able to do on that first half in particular. Actually, now that I'm looking at the VLRGG, it was 9 out of 10. So, I mean, a really strong offensive half. And I think the interesting thing about that first half is QOR took a lot of risks. You know, they ran a couple of different offset plays when the barriers dropped, the trap plays that Vansili likes to call them, where you're trying to set up some sort of a fault line, blast pack, showstopper combo. There's also the rolling thunder paranoia combo they ran on pistols on a thrifty round. It just felt like QOR, I don't know. I think in a game where you've got a squad that's not to be disrespected, you just use those ults to win rounds. And unfortunately, you know, they just weren't able to execute as cleanly as they were able to a couple of days ago when they were playing up against Turtle Troop with that same sort of game plan. So that was the initial punish on the first half. But then when we got to the second, those 3 rounds in a row defensively for DB, I think were massive in terms of trying to get into the heads of QOR, make sure that, hey, these post-plant setups are not as comfortable as you'd like them to be. And honestly speaking, a lot of that came from Precision. He did a great job at the defensive half in particular, making sure that things were a little bit mixier for this QOR offense.
Mixier. I love that word. I'm gonna have to add that one to my dictionary. But this was quite a different look, Vance, that I maybe kind of expected going on into this. QOR, when we're talking about the risks that they were taking to start things off, it definitely did see like something that I don't know if they needed to really be pulling out here on a map that they looked good on and they should have been favored on in their own map pick. I feel like that's something you kind of more reserve if we're looking at our second map this year.
Yeah, again, I feel like it was an approach that QOR had on the defensive side where they wanted to make sure that they couldn't let DB take full control of the outcomes of like every single round of like how they default, how they run around and just catch you off guard, right? Because remember, the first 3-4 rounds before we got into that technical pause with the PC rebooting was, you know, not getting enough of these ults farmed up here for QOR on the defensive side, especially when, you know, you want pistol and you won the second round, but you still didn't have enough of those big primordial ults, that you use on these retakes. So after losing and letting it slip in the hands of DB, you're trying to make some certain plays so that you're hoping that it works out. And this is also thinking how DB runs their tendencies, right? The amount of trap plays that they were trying to do towards the A side link, from middle, was probably understanding that a lot of these plays from Dobros, at the very least, the last time that they've watched Dobros play, was probably anchoring towards his middle a lot. But you see that they start so far back here for DB. They hold on the extremities at the very beginning. Then they start maybe walking up towards that middle, maybe 10-15 seconds in. So maybe that slight change coming up from Dobros really was the game setter right now for Dobros to take as much control as possible as they did on the attack side. And like I said, you're on a 9-3 deficit, and you're trying to, it's hard for you to come back from. But I think also these type of plays that you're trying to do was also because you're trusting on how good your attack side is and how your attack side was last week. So you want to try to do these risky plays. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off today.
I mean, the attacking end for QOR, there was a couple of rounds where it started to look a little bit more and more dangerous as they were stringing them together. So
yeah.
There is this one round where Dobros did a really good job in shutting that down. And when I'm talking about Dobros, really want to be highlighting Zachary here, because it shift. I mean, we're kind of running out of time, and Zach with a solo site hold.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. And it just goes to show that, you know, the individual presence that Zach has should never be questioned. I mean, that was a full toolkit used. And even still, there's a moment in here where, like, if Ange dies even a bullet second sooner, Zach has got to be like, what do you mean? Like, why would you peek that? I did everything. I mean, he legitimately was Himothy 2.0 without question, but nearly it goes awry. Fortunately, it doesn't, so we get to still highlight that as an impressive moment. I mean, that's just an unbelievable individual play in a 1v3 essentially for Zach to hold off, find a couple of kills, and kill just enough time in particular to make sure the round comes through.
And you can't forget about the support utility that came through for him to get that second or third kill, right? The fault line that came out from drones. So when you're referring back to that tweet at the top of the show when Ange was talking about they were so close to perfect VALORANT, so close as a perfect team, this is one of those moments because this was a perfect call to start things off here from T-Dog to sell that fake. It worked. And it had to come down to thinking on the fly, right? That's why Riku came out. They threw the wingman. They got information. And then Zachary's like, well, I got to activate. I got to satchel across. I got to delay as much as I could. And now it comes down to individual decision making that they have to do and that it paid off in the end because they know the timings that they have to take to try to convert the round back in their favor.
I mean, we got to see some darn good Valorant on the first map, but looking ahead at the second, I have to see if that can continue on forward. This is a map that we got to see last week coming out from Dobros here, looking at Lotus. This is also the map where they pulled out a wacky comp here shift. We saw the Clove, we saw a deadlock, and we saw a resounding victory over MXS. But are Core prepared for this, or what did they have up their own sleeve?
I mean, you have to be prepared for this. I mean, defensively speaking, you know, we talked about deadlock last week about how sometimes you find out where she is, you see where they place their utility, and you just avoid it or wait for it to fade away or something of the nature. But the Clove in the mix adds a very interesting picture because now you've got a lockdown sentinel, 2 controllers if you're playing this with an Omen again, so everything is smoked. And then you also have the fade that could be used to find more universal information off of things like the double prowlers and of course the haunt, which can reveal. So it just feels like Clove fits into the picture here in terms of being able to make sure the deadlock actually does find value, because every single choke point is either smoked or congested by deadlock utility. That was what I think really gave Moist a big headache. On the offensive side, it's again, same idea. You just have so much controlling presence that it just becomes difficult and as the defenders to actually see into the site. And that's, I think, the biggest part about it. So it definitely felt like that was kind of the picture and the idea behind this comp. And I'll be curious to see if, you know, for the side of Core, will they give up on their usual comp and maybe try to throw another initiator into the picture here? Try to do something besides just a Sova. Maybe throw like a Sky or something in the mix, or a Fade of your own, just to try to get a little bit of extra information without having to go through all these smokes.
Yeah, for me, it almost an inspiration FPX also, because FPX, a Chinese team, played triple control on this map. And to exactly what Shift was saying, all these smokes around these areas to get aggressive control allows for you to dodge around flashes and also fade utility that's being and even look at that Core, they usually play a Sova on that map. Dog on the Sova, and it gives you a chance here to more adding more obstacles, should I say, around the map so you could fight the way that you can. And it comes down to now you know, the fundamentals of being able to trade off against each other, because you're not going to be able to use any of those flashes to your advantages either, right? Because you're going to be running a comp that probably doesn't even have any flashes if you count to what DB was playing last week. So it's been super fun at that point to watch them play, to get this upset win against MXS. And also, this is also a map that, you know, Core played somewhat against a Clove before, right? They played against Oxygen Esports, who are using a Clove, and they also suffered a heavy loss. So maybe you learn a little bit more from that type of play style by having a Clove against your opponents, and maybe you have adjusted that.
And I mean, when we're looking at Core as well, we did get to see some good step-up performances coming out from the squad to where they could try and take good advantage of this over on the attack. They're definitely shown that they were able to be going for these riskier plays, going for something that's flashing. And when I'm looking at Zeldris and just the firepower there, or how Ziff was able to be locking down Art Shift, I'm then curious if this is where Core could even just kind of like outshoot and outplay Dobros even.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those situations if you get to the agent pick where it's like
Shift lost face.
Okay, well, it's okay. We don't need any faith over here. We just need some good old Valorant. All right, our agent select is ready, so we can get started with Lotus. Head on over to that. I'll see you two later.
Let me just take and deflect, okay? That's all I'm looking for here. It's just a strategic deflect. You guys are calling me out.
That's funny.
Oh,
that's funny.
How about you just fight fire with fire? Clove on both sides.
Single controller, though, at this point, right now. I feel like this is the comp, though, that Oxygen Esports ran, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to have to look back at my notes real quick, but I'm pretty sure that this is what they ran. And this is the different type of play style that we're seeing that, you know, that's what I was saying. They were able to learn a little bit from playing against a Clove like they did against Oxygen Esports before. But what they have coming out from this composition coming out of Core is that they can definitely be a little bit more explosive now with the breach falling behind. Now that they could throw a dizzy flash on top of that and then actually get some good value of playing within the smokes and trying to get those picks behind the dizzy pings that they're currently getting. So we'll have to see how it plays out if they're able to adapt this. But remember, this is also these type of moments where I say, hey, when you're trying to copy paste you know, a composition that's unorthodox, can you actually replicate it to the same style as your opponents did, because they're the ones that cooked it up and they could play it very well, but can you do the same thing? And that was the question that we had for, you know, a lot of teams that ran out with that Turtle Troop comp, for example, on Ascent with the Deadlock. And some teams are able to do that quite well, but they're still having to play for Core against Dobros this time around. How can this Deadlock add a little bit more value as well to this compositional change that Core brought out today?
And for what it's worth, it was the exact composition that Oxygen ran. So
it's worth everything. Thank you.
Yeah, it is one of those situations, like, and I think just looking at the comp that Dobros is using, you know, it did feel like running an extra initiator is the best way to break down the smoke coverage that you're going to be dealing with. So it's going to be essentially that, just with a breach, which really should have been the right call. I mean, trying to find a way to get, you know, Sky or Fade in the mix, it can be a little bit more difficult at times, but yeah, it is essentially that exact same composition that Oxygen had ran. So we'll see what kind of comes through here. This is my first go at actually casting over any Clove gameplay. So
let's go.
Also be a little bit personally fun for me. Chat, you don't have to care about that at all, but I care. So.
I care. That's why I'm casting with you, bro.
Should be fun. The thing that here's the one thing I will say about Clove. Do we have to have ability names that are 3 words long? Like, we're gonna start saying full paragraphs to explain these abilities.
I gave up on that a long time ago, Shift. I just go with, debuff, metal, whatever. Whatever's easy to say, I just call it. If not, it's a smoke, man. It's a res. It is what it is.
Bang. Absolute banger.
And we're actually seeing some early pressure at the beginning of this round. Riku was jump spotting to find information. Actually got some damage over on T-Dog as Core, it looked like they were going to go very aggressive at the get-go because everybody was leading towards this A side, but everything slowed down. They tried to open a door, trying to run these rotates, trying to see if there's any counter utilities starting through before they decide if they want to break baby door and move over towards this B site.
Tree door will open. Trevor! Fault line will be sent through just to try to see if they can pull the defensive attention over towards the outsides at A, when the intention actually is to go into B, where Zach is waiting with paint shells and a boom bot. And oh boy, the timing of that paint shells is great. Essentially counters out the Dizzy completely. No information here at all for Core on their offense. Here comes the boom bot behind that. That will actually explode just a touch. And wow, Wingman was also crawling to try to get on the point. Is that what you were laughing at too?
Yeah, I was thinking like Wingman's having a dream where like a killer's chasing after him. It's just running in slow motion, trying to get away from the killer. But at least they got the plant.
That's too funny, man. I saw the exact same thing. I was like, this guy's crawling out here. Sensor will be deleted. Paranoia does get sent to cut off that front B connection from the defensive spawn. And still not a part of the picture at the moment. Here comes the first attempt, though. Zach, good for the first one. Still a 5v4 situation. Time starting to run out just a touch. A little bit of a hop on the toggle. Snarly backs up, able to find himself another, but Zach just continues to rip apart this Core squad. 3 with the ghost this round. Zip trying to fight back, but overwhelmed. And plenty of time for Precision just to hold on to the fuse for DB to get the pistol.
And DB just made sure that they had patience going through, waiting for everybody to come together. After the graph net slowed everything down, it allowed for everybody to rotate, and then they just waited off the fault line from T-Dog, waiting all that delay utility that came out from Core. And because he had to play within the site, he had to use it preemptively instead of using as a plant denial. So that gave a chance here for DB just to time that 3-2-1 retake. The beautiful door being opened by Eng. I call it beautiful because he barely used any util, but it was good enough to set that paranoia for Core to force their hand and allow DB to have the clean retake towards the end. So a great start. Now we're in the second round and we're seeing the setup. It's different. We actually have the Clove moving over this time with drone, and once they find the early pressure, that's a later wall here that's not going to allow Core to get anything really at the beginning because they have to break this wall. And now the amount of shots that are coming out from Core to break this wall, they know there's at least 3 or 4 sending that pressure in the beginning. This might give a chance here for DB to push a little bit more forward towards the A side and just lock down this part and not give a chance for Core to really work this map.
Yeah, Precision's just playing a shoulder angle here. I mean, he could step a little further forward and rubble if he wants to, but there's not really a need for it. And the longer that Precision doesn't see anything, the more that DB will know that players are here. Yeah, perfect timing on this peek out. 3 for 2. Not bad news, though, for Core, all things told. Drone's also going to get affected by this fault line. Both placed, and wow, Drone in the corner. Still able to go 1 for 1. Snarly will upgrade and then get to work placing the ruses down for the 1v2. Good paint shells.
Yeah, that's going to do a lot of damage. All the damage. All the damage. And yeah, that was nicely done here by DB just to walk out for information. If there was anything, at least they get an instant trade. But it felt like we caught a lot of players sleeping here over on Core side because we got, what, 3 or 4 clean pot shots in the beginning from the C entrance all the way towards spawn before we got the kill, before players started reacting. And Enrico just ran out with the stinger and they got, like, what, 1? But enough damage to allow here just DB to hold their grounds towards the C side. It made it a little bit expensive for Core, at least dropping 3 weapons in the process. So the bonus is not going to be the best here for Dobros. But yeah, nice little wall bang. Zachary is on something today. He's just like knowing where to be, knowing where to shoot, and now once again knowing where to shoot because he's got the outlaw this time around towards this A site, and it's a C's name taking full control of rubble. Metal being thrown most likely at the same time. So much pressure.
Yeah, the fault line continues to hit though for DB. And I'll just step up has been perfect. I mean, just nowhere for Core to go. Zeldra's doing what he can to fight back, but damage has already been dealt. Zach is even going to collect the orb, so now he's just 1 off of an early showstopper. Ziff getting to work shopping on the ground for whatever loot he can find. And Lootbot will reveal that he's nearby. Wow, goodness, those outlaw shots, they had to have... I mean, he must have sucked in his gut. It looked like they pretty much went right through him.
Well, he's going to put the steps in. Definitely now in the mid-round. And thankfully here, once again, Snarly is down, so still in radius to be able to smoke up towards Heaven and Baby Door for him to walk in. This is going to be a perfect timing here. The wall should be coming down fairly soon. It'll give a chance here for Zifters to walk in contact in the end, so you'll just wait it out to see if anybody's going to overextend. But if not, these smokes should be coming through after he realizes that it's clear. Unless Gnarly doesn't know that he could smoke.
What?
Whatever, we'll take it.
I'm a little surprised that, yeah, maybe, like, brother, that's the whole point of the agent.
I'm going to cope and say they were still on cooldown. But nonetheless, I mean, it was still, if anything, before that shenanigans, everything that happened at the beginning of the round was so oppressive coming out from Dobros in terms of util. So you had not only C's nade capabilities, but the Riku metal that could actually decay some players to get more value out of the nades. If there's a counter measurement coming through, funneling outside of a main, the one way is already there, and then the paranoia just to allow everybody to get such a good position. But Core, once again, in a position where they don't want to let DB run away with this. They want to pressure very quickly towards the C side on the low buy.
Double sensors still at the front door here at C, keep in mind. But in a very strange economical round for Core, you would think a flood is likely on the way. Thrash will go first. Sensor gets popped. Oh, what a step up for Riku. Rez will come through, no worries there. Has to find some way to get a little bit of damage done, but no, it's just an immediate push through for Core. This is working out nicely until Ange comes out, finds himself 2 through the wall. Snarly back for a 3rd time. But doesn't seem like it's going to make much of a difference. Shadows traveling. As you've got yourself into a position to just lock things down here if you're DB. Wall bangs a little bit off, but eventually that's the one he hits.
Curve that bullet like Angelina Jolie.
Dude, I love a good wanted reference.
But yeah, towards the end though, it looked like it was an over-aggressive peak coming out from Riku, but that you saw that grab net that was thrown by drone. It actually caught one player off there.
Over there.
So Riku's about to able to swing out, get a pick, and if he gets taken down, or sorry, if they get taken down, they could still res at the same point through a metal to make sure that players stay decayed, so that Ange could just spray across the wall, get these wall bangs and easy kills. It should have been a plant towards the end in reference of QOR on that plant attempt on the C site to get that economy up. But they're going to have a little bit less util to come with. I mean, look at Zeldris. He doesn't have Boombot. T-Dogs doesn't have Aftershock. So it's a labored round coming out from QOR. It's a fairly expensive one that they need to try to convert now, but Dobros are looking really good on the defensive side to start.
Yeah, big time. Lots of issues with the operator showstopper, full utility online, essentially for everybody. QOR just have not had that extra pep in their step when it comes to a couple of just individual gunfights. You know, comps and utility aside. Well, okay, make me look silly, why don't you? Zach will drop. Zip finds the first. Operator now down.
A great opening here. This is a chance right now for QOR to cut noise and start forcing here Dobros to make plays. And then they could always finish with a showstopper from the C mount back over to the C site. So now you're just wasting out these smokes coming out from Riku, trying to delay that coming through. And then on the other end, you're trying to sell a fake on this A side. Here are the flashes coming out. Snarly's trying to move forward to try to get smokes. And maybe you don't need those smokes to move towards the C side because of this showstopper. And look at what it did. It pulled everybody out. But look at where Ange is pushed forward.
Work out. Snarly looking to take it down, but drone in the corner. Can't even go 1-for-1, which would have been a huge benefit for the defense trying to hang on. So 3v4. Operator's going to get picked up here, interestingly enough. So Zeldris going to hold on to that for now. He's got, of course, a rifle right in front of him, so if he wants to swap, he can. And this post plant, how do you break this one down? You got tons of tools for precision, but that's about it.
Here's a chance for Riku to get a surprise pick.
Zeldris, rare miss. Wide open shot. And Precision will take down T-Dog. Can isolate over the waterfall connector. Zeldris not going to miss twice. That much we know for sure. Second op shot lands. Still holding on to a corner. Information that Ange is nearby. Is it going to be a wide enough swing? No, it's not. Zeldris takes him down, leaving Precision by himself. Would be a 1v3 and 4 kills in the round in total if he was able to secure this, but time is running out in the play. Just down to Kitty finds Zeldris, a little shoulder. Both players are aware of it. But Ziff is on the way out, and Zeldris will be the one who finds 4. So, great stuff for QOR. Good pickup, and I think a lot of that just starts with the simple fact that Zach can't connect the first op shot.
Yeah, that, and then the secondly where Drone was holding towards the left side of the entrance of the C side on the boxes, finally snuffed out. I mean, he's been playing that spot almost every single round when QOR was trying to enter towards the C side. So that was a little bit too much of a tell that allowed Zeldris to get an easy opener, and that opened up to the C side and made it very difficult for Dobros to try to retake. And that forces out a very early timeout, actually. This is quite interesting. I wonder what we have coming out of this, because before we finished the round, I know Precision had his ult, and I wonder if this is just a timeout to make sure that they can try to take down like this. We've seen a lot of these aggressive like ult coming out from B and C site at the very beginning, but I don't feel that this is too much of a comp that could do it for Dobros. And for the first 5 rounds, they still had pretty decent control of the map against QOR. So I'm still puzzling me a bit to see if they use this timeout for a trap play or if it's just for something else. I'm assuming it's for the first part, the first point, because QOR really hasn't been doing anything except for like last minute hits towards the end.
Yeah. Nice spot. I mean, the thing about it is like, and I can understand that mentality and trying to, hey, you're playing a new comp, first of all, but B, there's just so much you have to deal with early. So like, it's hard to burst through sites. And I think a lot of this is QOR is just trying to stretch out this DB defense and take care of as much utility as possible before they commit, because otherwise you're dealing with the kitchen sink on you at all times, it feels like. So maybe that's part of it, but here's a different look. Going off to see this in full gun rounds, teams committing to getting into B. Nightfall will actually connect onto 4/5 of the team. It's a weird way of saying connects with almost everybody, but
and all at 1
will be
HP.
back and we'll be fine.
And the idea was there. So if they were able to get the Nightfall and then funnel players out the door, there was a showstopper ready for Zachar on the C side, but this could still be used for the retake. Again, the pistol round, where DB has to play a 5v5 retake with some good protocols.
Well, Paranoia comes through for the defense. Showstopper is out, and it's Riku who strikes first. Operator continues to do well for DB. Precision drops, but Snarly still at low HP, trying to get chased down by Riku. And eventually it's Drone who converts the kill. Zach holding the edge on Ziff, no worries. And yeah, so here we go. We talk about kind of core, you know, feeling out the defense, making life maybe a little bit more questionable in terms of where the hit's going to come from. Instead, they come off timeout and just 5-man hit B, and it essentially gets them nothing.
Yeah. So now I have an idea now of that timeout that was called by DB is just to really set up how they can maximize the amount of ults. So the Nightfall to get early information, if it's not towards the B site and they were hitting towards C, people are going to get decayed against a showstopper. And then you had an op being placed towards A. So you're just trying to maximize the value around the first contact you could play or how you're going to run the protocols on a retake. And that showstopper funneled everybody back towards the stack before DB was inside the spawn. So beautifully read and done in the end from the setup from Dobros. And this is going to put core, despite a spike plant, low in terms of economy. Guardian is the best weapon to their name in the hands of Nerve. Riku.
Riku, yep.
First contact.
Later.
Easy kill. Isn't it a okay, bye?
Down A.
Nerve another one to fall.
No.
I mean, you're peeking one by one at this point, man. It's going to be very difficult to play against these guys.
Add that meme in there of like, okay, have a good time.
Well, I don't think they're having the best time with the way they're getting picked off so far for core of trying to just surprise an entry inside the site.
Oh, it's too funny. Well, okay. Looking for the Annihilator. Odd. I mean, this round looks like it's already a given, but I guess why not try to make it that much more certain?
Yeah.
But Prowler out. We'll scout out at least one of the 3 members threatening over towards A. Riku.
30
Still
seconds
gonna
left.
Yep, still are.
Blind kill.
Yep. It's just one of those things of I'll pull the trigger because I'm going to go back anyways.
Zip stuck through, though. Not anymore.
No sneaking through at all.
Yeah. How much util are we gonna, or how much money are we gonna spend so far the next round? It's just drone and precision, pretty much, and a paranoia that will get invested by Ange. Look at how much money we have. Zachary is at 8,900 and is not buying anything because he didn't need to use any of his util. They're looking really good right now for DB on the defense.
Could you imagine if you could buy your teammates' abilities, not just weapons?
I don't know if I want to get there. Do we want to get there?
No, I definitely don't want to. I'm just saying, just imagine if that was a thing. Like,
yeah. Thank God we don't have to imagine it. It would be so insane. It would be so insane.
that'd be nuts.
Yeah, I think it brings like an extra level into how strong the eco rounds could be.
100%, yes.
Right. So that, and you've seen already how Sheriffs could really turn around in like instantly, like a 180 off, clean shots coming from one single player. Now you have abilities to get purchased on top of that. You don't really want that for sure. Hopefully not. Right, if you're listening, please don't do that. But yeah, DB up 6-1 at this point, and yeah, they're starting to realize here for core that they don't really have too many opportunities to get any of these B site holds by playing aggressive and forward. They're having a little bit of success out of the C side, but really never were able to cross the finish line over at the A side. And now it's a gamble from DB saying, okay, we've shut down A side so many times, they must be defaulting towards C. So they put 3 players on that side before. The read is really good for core to start things off as they're tempoing very quickly towards A.
Oh, but they don't see Riku. Oh my goodness, what a split off for DB. I mean, that looked like core had the game plan set up perfectly. You get a rebel control, you get a spy cam to tag, but they don't see Riku. And now as the Thrash essentially commits the green light into A, the defense can full rotate back with no worries of a lurk on the way. It's just Snarly trying to hold over towards mid.
Bogdan's Law. Ange giving his rifle or his rifle over to Zachary so they can open it up. A nice position by Snarly here. Instant ult.
My turn.
Oh, Snarly! Oh, what a shot from Ange! Snarly tries to break his camera, and Ange just sends him back to the netherworld. So now you've got the possible defuse already on the way. Core have to still chow this. Thrash is going to get spent once again. Precision trying to hang. He gets it past halfway. No one has an angle at it, even though there was maybe a chance, especially with T-Dog at the end. Zach gets 3. Precision holds for the defuse. And wow, what a shot from Ange. What an opening set play for DB to sneak through C. Just everything keeps turning up in front of her DB right now.
Remember when I said you may try to copy paste a composition, but can you play it as cleanly? And no hate onto Snarly, but it almost feels like you're trying to use that res before going into phantom mode, if I could put it that way, for lack of a better word. But you're trying to bunny hop around it like it's a mini Thrash and then hoping that it's going to miss the shot and you can come out of your res to get the kill. I don't think that's the right way to tech the res here coming out from Clove, but I mean, at least you're trying to bait out that second shot, I guess, to give a chance for the rest of Core to hold the pulse plan, but it didn't pay out. It didn't pan out.
I think if anyone were in that position, well, Ange able to find one. I was going to say, do we really think that Ange is going to hit a quick snipe in the face of someone bouncing around him like that? I mean, you get to see them the whole time. It's like a Reyna dismiss, right? You just see where she's going, and then boom, you just pick them. Well, oh, dude, that was a nice little net for a double kill there from Drone. And the Prowler hits. I mean, wow. I mean, I'm telling you, DB just are doing no wrong at the moment. Then last one left. Prowler out. Oh, the deadlock wall's there. Oh, God, it's just so painful. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I would have done the same thing Snarly did is what I was going to get at. That's just a sick shot from Ange, flat out.
Yeah, and again, I totally respect Core trying to push out towards the spawn to try to fight here into aggressive positions. But, and if you're trying to play more passively, then it's got to get smoked out in towards the front, and you potentially can't even get it done. And you know Zachary has a showstopper, so you're still trying to fight and catch some players off guard. But damn, that util coming out from Drone just to keep them back, netting 2 players, getting a kill, and still has a wall on top of that to use as a pulse plant. It really shows that they don't really have a true solution on how they could play the pulse plant now towards the B site. I think at this point, I'd be okay with still pushing forward the way that they do and still keep T-Dot back so you could fault line from front B and flash for the ones that wants to push towards Waterfall, but keep the Aftershock or a fault line to maybe as a last resort to try to delay even more players moving in towards the B side should you lose your teammates here on their attempt to push towards the spawn. I don't know. I feel that maybe there needs to be now some on the fly calls on how they want to run these protocols off the pulse plant here for Core, because unfortunately the solutions aren't there into anti-stratting DB, even if you understand the tendencies that DB currently has on how they play the retake towards the B site.
Yeah, I think at the other side of things, like just seeing how some of these rounds have unfolded, like trying to full counter strat, like they're not doing a terrible job at putting together decent ideas. It's just the simple fact, like that last round, Drone gets 2. Yeah. Ange hits an incredible snipe onto Snarly the round before. A couple moments from Precision. It's just, it feels like DB is just in that flow state where, yep, here we go. Riku for 1. Showstoppers get traded. Riku hits in that midair. Riku's not done. Give him 3. I mean, it's one of those days where like DB's just flowing, man. They're in that absolute vibe state.
It was a nice try, if I could put it that way. Right? The showstopper could have been something that was big there to just get a 1-for-1 or drop that showstopper earlier there from the side of Zeldris against Zachary and maybe have a chance to flood a little bit more against Riku. But yeah, they're definitely feeling it today for Riku on those shots that they're landing. Even over-committing on a second and third peak to get these picks. It just shows right now when you're trying to play disciplined Valorant and just try to make sure you play the numbers, then you kind of fall back after your first picks and you're trying to hold as much as you can for your teammates to rotate back with you and play the retake or play the position, right? But instead, when you're swinging out the way that you are and you're still hitting those type of shots, nothing could really go wrong for you. You accept and you let them flow. You let them do whatever they want to do right now for the whole roster. Nobody's really losing their fights at this point here, Shift. There's like exactly. Man, they could even lose the next 2 rounds. This is under 9-3, and they still have a great lead on the second half. This is like you said, they're just vibing right now. There's nothing really you could answer for Core.
No, not at all. And I'll put it this way: this is the game right here. Core have to win these next 2 rounds. You don't win this one, you're not going to win 12 most likely. And you go down 11-1 at the half. Good luck.
We mentioned
round feels like, and sensor drones are set up. DB's already getting the commitment because look how deep man just gotten over towards the A side of the map. Prowler also clearing out mid pillars. And there's a little bit of resistance over towards mid, so even though an extra member will step into C, largely speaking, DB continue to dominate the map, and they've got Core pigeonholed to have to hit C here.
Yeah, and right now there's 3 players just to cancel out an immediate thrash. And when that's, well, actually only 2 now. So this is actually an opportunity for Core to pivot back towards C and get value out of this ult.
Well, the flash comes through. Thrash will be into the site. Does it hit drone? Yes, it does. Help on the way, though. Zach, does get hit by the Dizzy. 1 for 1. Drone is still alive, by the way. How is Drone still alive? How is Riku still alive? Finally, it takes an extra member for Core to take him out of the picture, but and Drone still holding over towards Waterfall side. Paranoia gets sent. The spike is down, and all of a sudden, Core are too deep into the site. Although Zeldris will find one on this cross towards B, and it will isolate us into a couple of 1v1s.
All they're trying to do right now is to keep their heads above water right now, despite them being too deep towards the spawn and Spike nowhere to be picked up. Finally, thankfully, we're able to get a smoke out of Snarly to be able to pick up this Spike and plant and actually be in fairly good positions towards the end. Door opens, double swing. Ooh, no charges. Close.
Well, here we go. Snarly on the cross. Yeah, that'll work out. Okay. That will work. So, must-win round for Core. That comes through. Step 1. Have to have this one, too, though. Let's be honest with one another. And you still have pockets deep for DB. And now, all of a sudden, they've got the ultimate advantage. Sure, there will be another set of double ults here for both of our Clove players, it feels like. But for the time being, it's just the defensive one that's been charged.
Yeah. Right now, I like that they use the Gravnet, too, to really slow down the tempo of the Thrash. And you were hoping that those 3 players were still there, because if those 3 players were still there, then definitely the Thrash was donezo. But because of that, they rotated one early from the door opening, the call from T-Dog to sell that fake in the first place. It just allowed for them to get that. Oh, they got one. On the mound. Trying to save him. Will they? Nope.
2-for-1 exchange. Not good news for Core. Well...
Is this at 2 HP?
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, this is not just the fact that it's a 3v4, but Ziff is down to 1 bad cold's worth of health. And there's still plenty of utility set up for Drone. A late barrier mesh gets placed this time. Sensor Drone in front of that. Ange also holding. This is a tough cookie to crack. That's what I'm really trying to frame up here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like this cookie will crumble on the side of DB on the defense. Still very heavy. You're basically playing a 5 versus 3 still because Riku has a res and they have the full lane to lock down this A site. And on the side of Core, they still have their smoke still from Snarly. They have an opportunity to really re-hit the site. But with this sonic sensor still inside the sea,
dropping smokes.
It's gonna help Angie. Yep.
30 seconds left. You had your fun. My turn.
Snarly trying to come back. And gets caught. Try to track Snarly. So hold on a second. Riku trying to make his way back in. Drone able to at least shut down Snarly for now. Post plant setup still looking decent, but the problem here is Zip.
It's a 2 HP.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. Taunt does get deleted, and off the trap wire. Zip able to find one. Riku off of the regen. Zip still staying alive, but again the 2 HP. Such a problem, and we'll exit the half 10-2. It's a DB, unreal stuff from them.
I still like this from both of the Cloves, right? They gave their bodies away just to make sure that they could be a Prowler or a Phoenix or something like that to get information. And with the trip, I mean, it breaks it on that side too, allowing for the rest to follow behind and get that opener. And Zip almost had great value at 2 HP off that trip of 4K in the round. Needed a 6K pretty much to try to win the round there for Core. But unfortunately, it does not work out in their favor. They have a pissed around the 5 ghosts. but already not really trying to deathball as a team, just a 3-2 normal setup. A Trip's the one that's going to get the information right now so that they could collapse from the door and on both sides, actually, the revolving door and the baby door. For DB, though, on their end, this is just seems to be a very standard. Just going to faint hunt for info towards the C site, trying to listen to see if there's extra pressure coming out towards A, and soon once they figure out here that there's no real util coming outside of the A site, you might see this pivot from Dobros to start leaning towards A.
Well, they're waiting to receive a possible push through, and they may get it here. Currently throwing shoulders looking for it. Dizzy over the top, Aspac over, and DB have stayed concealed from this. Now they have the stack on the edge. There's the paranoia through. Here comes the reach out, 2v2, and that ends in a 2-for-2. So now it's just down to how do you play the rest of the round out 3v3. And Riku, there's a spy cam in the corner here watching for this push out.
Is destroyed.
It does not get the dart off, but Riku's presence is down now.
Yeah, and the full link him all the way from C, though. So they know where the players are at. They know there's 1B, 1A, and 1C because they saw the Gecko Dizzy at the beginning of the round. So this gives an opportunity right now for DB to lean towards the A to C, force a rotate somewhere. Instead, they're going to try to just break the trip, force their way into B. T-Dog's already there. There's a smoke, there's a wall towards the waterfall, and a sonic sensor. You're in a good spot now for the post plant.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how that opening engagement happened, you had all of the correct agents still available for DB to do this. I mean, it's so abusive. Nerve trying to take the gunfight through the barrier mesh. Doesn't really work out. It's just a little bit of a plug and play for DB.
My eyes are down.
Spy cam does not get the tag on Riku. Good flash doesn't make a difference, though. Trying for the support was T-Dog.
One enemy
But now you've got to find all the support from the front. Not going well. One right click connects, but not a chance at the second. So 11-2, pistol one, and Core gonna have to force by the rest of the way through, and that's not a good sign from the defensive side.
And very good from DB to just stay put here towards the spawn. They felt like it was probably going to be like a do or die situation for Core into pistol round, a must win that they had to force the hand once again. So understanding, putting themselves in their opponent's shoes, had a feeling there was going to be some sort of push towards B or the C site. And then once they realized that the push was coming, they had way too many bodies here for Core to try to trade back against, which is why you saw Nerve just run away. Now I'm going to try to get some even more early information. The haunt being thrown super early from spawn and thinking that it's going to happen again. I mean, look at their position. It's a high-low to look back towards the B main push. That's where Ange is currently posted with the Outlaw on the top of that ledge in the back of the spawn. Two players watching C, and once again, Riku's just listening and trying to find noise on this A site. Probably going to wait here until these one-way starts clearing so that DB starts forcing a little bit of the issue. With the Prowler getting information early towards the mound, they're starting to realize here that there's a potential stack.
And of course, if you're DB, you know there's going to be a force buy here. And unless you can confirm some deterrence of this setup, there's no reason to chow it if someone's stepping forward. So I like this overall call. It's a lot of utility spend early from both sides, actually more to the defensive side, to try to hold on to that C mountain position. Riku's got everything available, though, on this retake, or not retake, but execute towards A. The only question will be how much value will Ziff get out of the Sentinel setup? The answer, not all that much. Ziff has to step in towards Street. Oh, and the first shot is good, but Riku confirms the trade. We stay 4v4. Hit still on the way. Mosh will expire here. Dizzy being thrown out. Riku steps up. And, of course, you've got the grab in place. I mean, everything is working out for DB. I'm telling you, all the utility placement looks perfect. And, yeah, this composition has worked out beautifully for DB as they will get the plant and force this into a snarly 1v3.
Yeah, so much value. The wall coming in towards the staircase, and you even see here the amount of net and nades coming towards the back of the site. Snarly almost had an opportunity to get the pick on the drone, but there's just too many players to face off against. Andrew's already set up here towards the pit for the crossfire and the trade. But like I said, or like I was trying to say, sorry, you have just so much to clear towards the site towards A. Those Prowlers are going to be a huge thing. Even if Precision dies, you can already see the value of how much it brings from a net to the Prowlers towards the back of the site, from the nades that are being thrown here from tree. There's nowhere for you to hide from, really, when these players are going to run up against you, especially when you're on a force buy, lower buy against the stronger buy that DB had, and you're going to be forced in a situation where you're just going to have to buy, unfortunately, here for Core. I'm going to be in sync here pretty much to, unfortunately, maybe get toppled down.
I caught that. I don't know if anyone else in chat caught that, but I caught that. That was good.
We gotta have some fun, you know?
That was one of your better ones. I'll say this much. That is one of your better ones.
Barrier deployed.
And look at the delay. I mean, the walls can be thrown. This is for waterfall. Now you could start pressuring behind the smoke, using prowess to see if anybody's coming through. Even using Riku as the tip of the spear, sorry, because they have the res. It's just so overwhelming.
And Sif getting caught out on the backside of the site. Now you can get the smoke down. And Nerve is trying to look for an angle over the top of it, but is not going to be able to deter the plant. Snarly on the point, has to find success. And with Zeldris' support, they will find one at least. It also maybe puts a little bit more pressure onto dealing with this quickly because the pinch from the backside is starting to come through as well. But unfortunately for the side of Core, everyone drops except for Zeldris, who has one blast pack to play with. Picks up a Bulldog. Only 11 shots for now. In and through the smokes he goes. And it's all about trying to find this out. He's making a lot of sound. Here comes the approach. And does get slowed down for a moment, but does not make a difference. 13-2 tally, and whoop! That's a spicy beat the ball. 13-2 and what? 13? What was the first one? 8, 7?
Something like that. It was one-sided for DB all along, though, because for Core in the first match they had to play catch up anyways, right? But look at what we see towards the end. Beautifully done. Riku once again on the top of the scoreboard, as you can see here. You'll see the stats later on as we're getting our webcams for the winners. But congratulations here for Dobros. Such a nice display of Lotus play on that second map, where again this is a continuous storyline of everybody thinks, okay, well, it's because it's Lotus, it's a 3-side map, you could default a lot more, but they had such good control here for Dobros on the defensive half, that Core unfortunately had no opportunities to play some good post plans.
Yeah. And control's the name of the game, right? I mean, when we saw this map initially kind of get meta changed, it was the heavy initiator play, right? Seeing, a lot of information gathering, a lot of stun locking and the ability to push forward through flashes. The breach really kind of becoming a big famous pick for that, but all of a sudden you kind of beat fire with ice all of a sudden. You've got a whole lockdown setup here in the deadlock with some extra support, really finding a lot of value this time in particular. Drone played, I will say, some absolutely great
deadlock
for sure. I mean,
left his opponent stunned. But yeah, definitely Sierra, as we bring him back, it feels like after all the predictions here, I had it for the Dobros. I had it for the Dobros.
You did. Congratulations.
Yay!
I wasn't
brownie points. Pat me on the back.
Honestly, I'm very okay to be wrong in this case. From struggling Dobros throughout the first stage of comp and almost getting relegated to now such a strong victory, this 2-0 for a second week here of stage 2, Vance. I mean, this is a team that we've seen other teams be swapping out members as soon as they start taking a couple losses. And Dobros, they've stuck together. They've overcome everything thrown their way. And to see things clicking more it's really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when it comes down to that, I think it's a lot of these of the mentality too of the past of like the M80 in the past from last year into this year. Unfortunately, we've seen some roster changes because there's been opportunities that you just can't say no. For example, John Cutie going here over to Sentinels, but even the guard playing in this league last year and moving forward as a core, moving up to Ascensions is a big thing. And it just comes to show that the more you're sticking together and the more you're able to figure things out here as a team, you're only going to go up from there. And it's definitely been a 180 turnaround in the results and the beautiful results so far that we've seen from Dobros from stage 1 to now.
And I mean, it shift multiple times during that second map as well. You're saying things like Dobros can do no wrong. And it really did feel like they just found their footing. I mean, the shots hitting, they're playing so coordinated as a team. Like, this is a Dobros, I think, to be excited about going on for the next couple of weeks. I know Core isn't the same team as maybe we'd be talking about Oxygen or whatnot, but Core definitely are some solid competition. And Dobros, I mean, the results of that second map speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think the results of the first map kind of speak for themselves as
Sure.
well. Keep in mind that the first half was as convincing as we've seen anyone play Lotus, or pardon me, Sunset on. So the Lotus on top of that, I think just goes to show that, all of the components and the kind of the checklist that you look for in terms of labeling a team as a dark horse the boxes are starting to get ticked. If you've got the ability to have power picks in your mix, I think the weird composition, the agent mix that you see here is something that teams are going to have to deal with. And then you're starting to get a lot of ice, a lot of clutch ability. So yeah, everything's starting to spin up for Doughboys at the right time here in stage 2.
I like I said, the Dough Bros, it's the Doughboys. Let's go. But
They're earning their dough right now. That's all.
Rolling in a dough, ready to win the money. By the way, I love drone.
You just have to get that in there. Well, spoiler alert, Van's now with the spoilers. We have Drone on the line for our interview. So let's head on over to that and talk to one of our Dobros about the victory. First off, I have to say congratulations. I know stage 1, the relegation tournament, there's been a lot going, up against Dobros, but we see the victory today and we see a really strong victory. How does that finally feel to be able to celebrate that with the team?
Yeah, it feels great just to finally get the first one, I feel like at this point, the first one was going to be the hardest because you're 0-5 and then teams have this crazy confidence against you and you're not feeling yourself. But once you break the first win, I think, more to come. So we're feeling really good.
That's exciting to hear. And I really do have to applaud you and the team as well for pushing through everything. Because sometimes when things aren't necessarily going to team's way, we see members leave, try and switch things around in a drastic way to start getting the results, but the team kind of stuck together, pushed on through. So what's that been like behind the scenes and the work, and how did you guys know that this was a team that, hey, we could be getting these wins going on forward?
Yeah, when the team first started, before we even started losing, we kind of made an agreement that we're a free agent team and we're going to do the best we can, and we tried to cultivate an environment of being friends on the team, being comfortable with each other. So we made it a point saying we're not going to go straight to roster changes if things aren't working. We don't plan on switching people out. And it gives you a sense of security and I feel like you're all working toward the same goal and not your teammates trying to snake you or anything like that might happen. So it's been a really nice experience. And we knew we could win. It's not like we were hopeless because in our practice and our scrim results have been really good. It's just translating those kinds of performances into a match scenario.
100%. And we've seen Dobros get close before, but something's just kind of not going quite right. But being able to see this win was fantastic. I want to talk to you about how we saw this win come together. I know Anja tweeted out the team's so close to greatness. That second map, Shift was applauding Dobro, saying that y'all could do so wrong. Do you feel like this is kind of turning over a new leaf for the team going on forward?
Yeah, I think so. If nothing else, it's for confidence. Once you get the first win, that the people that we're playing can bleed. And we knew they could. We were getting really close against some good teams like Moist last week. I mean, the game was really close. It wasn't like we got blown out. But to finally get it over the finish line, and especially in this game, to get it pretty dominant in the second map, not very close, felt really good, and it solidified our confidence in ourselves.
I want to talk a little bit more about that second map too, and first talk about the composition, because we've seen a couple more teams go towards the Clove for Lotus. But you're the only team that we see this Clove and this Deadlock, which I think is really, really interesting. So I want to know when you all kind of stumbled upon this and if it was something that kind of clicked right away, or it was like, okay, we just need we need to work a little to make this work, but we know that this is something.
Yeah, it was more of what we knew it could work, but we had to put some time in. Yeah, one day we were just cooking. We knew the Clove because Chris is very comfortable in the Clove, and the Deadlock, in theory, you're like, wow, this character is really insane. It's about in practice what you can do with her, and especially I think she's strong right now because teams don't have a lot of experience playing against her, and so the reactions aren't quite there for everybody, and no one's really they're not sure what to do. So yeah, we ran it in scrims. We had some good success with it, and specifically in matches today, and then also versus Moist has been really good. So we're confident in it. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear. And the last question I have for you, I have to ask about that timeout that y'all took right at the beginning of Lotus. Y'all are up 4 rounds. You lose 1, instant call the timeout. Was there something not clear? That's a really early timeout.
No, yeah, it was a really early timeout, but I think it was actually a really good timeout because when you start dominant like that and you lose 1, it can start to snowball into a bad situation where things get close. So at 4-1, James calls a timeout. Says a couple of things about why he thought we lost our round, and he was completely right. I mean, it was my fault as well. I played a pretty bad spot on that round. And then we corrected that. We just took a breather, just relaxed a little bit, mostly just a chill timeout, and then we kept it rolling, and it worked out.
Hey, well, I'm glad to hear that worked out as well. Again, super, super glad to see this win coming out. Drone, congratulations once again. Best of luck next week. Have a good rest of your night, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. As for us, first map of the day. And hey, that's just a 2-mapper. We'll have to see in their next series if this one can go the distance. It's going to be MXS going up against Turtle Troop after the break.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.